Well, I don't think it's any secret that we really need to start paying attention to how we can reduce our carbon emissions globally in all the different sectors. And I think most energy companies now are very focused on what practical steps can they take to make all of their processes more efficient. We still need to generate a certain amount of energy for the world to survive. In countries that use extensive amounts of coal or natural gas, you can't just transition them immediately away from those kinds of sources. We need to be able to ease off these legacy sources of energy, and that's one of the main focus areas for Oceanit. We understand that working with these legacy energy producers, and by making their processes more efficient, we can potentially have an even larger effect than to have a very small country go completely clean or completely carbon-free. HeatX is a surface treatment designed specifically for thermal heat transfer equipment. One of the key advantages is that it's able to completely arrest the onset of fouling. Fouling in terms of debris or scale or any kind of biologicals that ends up getting attached to a surface basically creates an insulating layer across that heat transfer surface. At its core, all power generation is essentially trying to turn thermal energy, which is generated by the burning of fossil fuels or burning some sort of fuel source, into mechanical energy. Generally, that's going to be creating steam and passing that through a turbine, which then generates electricity. HeatX is immediately applicable to existing processes. As heat transfer becomes less and less efficient within this system, you're going to have to be burning more and more fuel to get the same amount of heat and the same amount of work through it. So overall, throughout this entire process, you may lose potential energy being generated from the fuel if your heat transfer is not efficient through the system. So if you apply HeatX throughout the system, you can lower your fuel requirements and reduce the carbon emissions. As we are able to make these existing processes more efficient, it is going to immediately lower the carbon emissions. And one of the big things about if we're looking to combat global climate change is that any kind of change that happens immediately pays off way more than even the same amount of change that's done 2, 3, 5 years later, a decade later. Anything that we can do right now actually compounds in terms of its overall effect.